Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about something a little interesting because we actually have two banners out right now for Withering Waves, and really just taking a quick peek at both of these. We've got 5 days left in the Jiyan banner, and we've got just a little bit longer, looking at 18 days, almost 19 left in the Yinlin banner. Now, talking about both of these characters, I just want to quickly go over kind of looking at both characters in general and who you should grab and who you should get. Now, looking at the two characters, I have both obviously, and I've built them up a little bit because both of these characters are really, really fun, and I like them both. They're both on a little bit separate teams. I kind of use Yinlin with Kalchar, but we'll get to that in a second. First, talking about Jiyan. Now, in general, when we're looking at these characters, kind of looking at how you're going to maybe focus on a DPS to kind of carry you to a little bit later part of the game. We're getting some other characters in the future that are going to be really good, but I think in general, when Jiyan first came out, a lot of people were maybe a little bit disappointed in his, at least, especially the pre-beta, tier list. We're kind of focusing him a little bit to be not that great. So in general, though, I think a lot of people have kind of changed their minds. Because he is an arrow character, when he pops his ult, you're going to actually see a little bit of a different change with him as a character. Now, I'm going to jump right into this forgery challenge just to kind of show you guys a quick idea of really what he really looks like a little bit differently, because in general, as a character, he's a lot better, in my personal opinion, than I think a lot of people kind of put him out to be. Now, I'm obviously not going to run this team, but I'm just going to run a different team. The thing, though, with Jiyan that you have to really remember with him is that his biggest thing is not doing one big hit of damage, right? So when you pop his ult and get to a different version of him, he's going to be taking a lot of these ads that you can see around the big one and picking them up and moving them around, which is why I think he's going to be extremely good in terms of other characters and even just soloing by himself. You obviously saw here that he's just taking everything out by himself. He's not doing anything else, and it's already a challenge successful. So in general, when looking at this team, once again, looking at him as a character, you're focusing a lot on just moving your ads a lot, and thankfully with his skill as well, doing a decent amount of damage, and then just helping him move enemies around, especially with a lot of ads. Now, if you are fighting one of the bosses, for instance, one of the big ones, like looking at, Crownless or something like that, or or even getting to one of the weekly bosses, the Bellborn Geoshalon or something like that, these bosses, there's only one of them, obviously, so it's a lot more maybe difficult and maybe not as necessary to get Jiyan to fight these bosses. But once again, a lot of those small movable ads type things, if you're fighting those around in the overworld, plus also in the Tower of Adversity and stuff like that. So he's a good character for that, and I think it's actually a really good decision to go for him. He also does, though, do extremely well, and it's very easy to block whenever you try to parry something. It's very easy because of these hits that you saw earlier in his ult can block a lot of things, and the parry can be kind of triggered pretty easily, really by not trying, because those dragons that he's using around in his ult are just constantly moving around, and so they kind of auto parry for you, so you don't have to worry too much about timing. Now, Yinlin, on the other hand, I just got her recently, obviously, because her banner did just drop, and I even have her weapon with her. Jiyan, I do not, but he's got an okay weapon, and I have switched it off to an attack or crit rate weapon as well between the two characters. Now, looking at Yinlin as a character, though, first and foremost, she has a lot more quote-unquote sub-DPS type abilities, where you're going to be seeing her a little bit more off-field. But the biggest thing is that you kind of want your bar at the bottom to be charged the most when you're using her. The reason I say that is because when you pop your skill and put the puppet out, you're going to be doing like normal attacks and whatnot, and he'll be kind of hitting extra hits with them. But when you use your skill and you're going to be using those types of things, you're actually going to be focusing on using certain things that can kind of help you increase. Now look at this. She's once again all level 1, and she still does pretty good damage. Now, while doing so, though, with her Forte circuit, when you use heavy attacks with this, when you have your judgment points full, which is that bar at the bottom, she can then have her heavy attacks changed and consume all her judgment points. And when she does so, when she hits the targets marked with Sinner's Mark, the Sinner's Mark is replaced with Punishment Mark. In general, once again, with her, the difference between those Sinner's Marks is that you need to be on field to constantly be triggering those. But when you have put a punishment mark on something, it's going to be on there for 18 seconds, like it shows in the Forte circuit. So she can have her off-field ability, because when you do that, you can then switch to a different character. Personally, I would switch to Kalcharo, though, just because obviously she's got some other things in her kit actually that help with her outro skill. Actually, she will then actually increase the damage of the next character coming out as well. So that's actually something to be a little bit more focused in. She's got a lot of crit rate help as well in her actual kit. So never mind her weapon being crit rate focused, but also that is extremely nice. She's got some great things going about her, and in general, she's just a cool looking character. She does some pretty good amount of damage. I can focus a team to kind of just show you guys a little bit more on what she does. I'm going to be using her on field though, specifically with this team, just because, I don't have her extremely heavily leveled, and so I think the off field damage isn't going to necessarily show her part extremely well. But even still, here, you're going to see a lot of the extra damage that she can do is extremely good. I'm not even going to pull out a different character right now. I'm just going to change this and then do this, throw something on there, and then just move around and just hit multiple things as much as possible, because that's just what you can do. Now, I'm kind of cheating by using some of the other things and techniques here, but by just doing that, you can already see that popping her ult when her skill is out as well does a lot of damage in general as well, and then just finishing him off here with another skill hit. So as you saw, pretty easy character to play around with and extremely fun as well. Can clear things pretty easily, has a lot of AoE type abilities as well, but you're not really moving things around and, grabbing them together. So looking between the two on who maybe somebody should pull between the two different characters, I think it really does depend. I think in general, Yinlin's going to be a better character for down the line, whereas Jiyan's going to be a great character for right now. I think Jiyan, in general, probably might get power crept in the future, but I don't think that it's necessarily a bad idea to grab him or his weapon. Yinlin, on the other hand, she does do well with other weapons as well, but even still, I just really like her as a character. She's extremely fun, and she's going to work well with other characters by increasing their electro damage deepen, which is basically like an electro damage bonus and helps electro characters. So pairing her with someone like Calcharo, who you guys probably grabbed from the free 5 stars to grab a good DPS. I know a lot of people like Calcharo, so you probably are going to be pairing her with him, which I'm going to do as well once I build my Calcharo that I recently just got. That's everything I have for this video, though. Looking at both of these characters, let me know down in the comments if you guys are more of a fan of Jiyan or Yinlin, kind of seeing who you guys like more. Personally, I'm a little bit more of a Yinlin fan, but I do think that both these characters are extremely good and will help you guys to get to late game pretty quickly like it has for me. Well, thank you guys for watching once again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.